Welcome back aboard BLERD Force 1 with your boys Mo and Ladi. And today we're reviewing X-Men 97, Season 1, Episode 10. It's the season finale and it's entitled Tolerance is Extinction, Part 3. So what did we think about it, and should you be watching? And before we get into this review, get down there, hit like on this video. Ladi, I can't believe it. It's been 10 weeks. We are here at the end of the road. And I don't know about you, I'm kind of sad. I'm kind of sad to see this going. But if it's got to go, let it go out on a big old high note. And that's what it's all about. Bastion looks like he's, he's going to win. Charles and Magneto, they kind of have a reckoning in their minds. And the whole Earth is at risk of being, destroyed, going the way of the dinosaurs. So there's a lot of shit went on in this episode. It was a 43 minute episode, supersized, and pretty epic. So Ladi, man, what do you think about this?
Oh, great episode. Unfortunately,
you got to put down. You got to put down the phone. You have to put down the phone, right?
They're too much of pussies. They didn't want to do it. But okay, I'll be nice. But I will say this: I love this episode. I didn't really care for the ending too much, and I will explain it when we get to the spoilers. But overall, I would have given the episode an A+, but I give it an A-, almost B+, because I didn't care for the ending too much.
Right. Okay. I think it was an excellent episode. It was. I'm not going to give it a number or anything like that. Just it was top notch. We were saying, will they stick the landing? Will they stick the landing? Yes, they stuck the fucking landing, and then some. This episode was surprising to me in the fact that they are like, you know what? This is a big finale. There's going to be a lot of action and everything. Things are death defying and all that other stuff. It's thrilling, but they still took time to give you some messages, like really clear, big messages, about the nature of humanity, about minorities. There was, I was saying on Threads, there's, queer coding for some of the things that are going on, in particular when Magneto and Professor X are kind of having their moment in the bar, and they're in Magneto's minds, kind of reliving memories. You got to see more of Magneto's, his internal struggle, what's driving him, what's important to him, like, his feeling like he's not a part of the family, feeling like, Charles betrayed him and all that other stuff. I mean, that's huge stuff. You get to see and understand Bastion and where he's kind of coming from. And again, there's some queer coding in there with his being basically self-loathing because of how he was raised by his mother. And the understanding that both Scott and, Storm have to show to him to be like, it's okay to be you. And also Bastion being like, I guess, the problem with humanity is he literally says, in order to save them, you got to save them from being bleeding hearts and caring about, whatever underdog that's, popular at the moment. And so all of that's going on, plus straight up badass action, like I would say if this were an MCU movie, this is an Avengers level episode, in the sense that think of everything the Avengers had, fought in the first, 2 or 3 movies, and the threat of Bastion is equal, I'd say, to Ultron or even to Thanos' army when they come to Wakanda. And it's that huge, and it has huge implications going around. So I think just overall, a really stellar episode. Great animation, great voice acting, great speechifying, just all around everything I kind of wanted. And I did like all of the ending. I know you didn't necessarily like it so much. So we can get into spoilers now. I think that most of this needs to be spoilers just because there's so much going on. Ladi, before we talk about the ending that you didn't necessarily like, can we talk about the cameos? Because they went off. They went off. And I was like, okay, cool. We see Captain America, we see Iron Man. That's dope. I love it. But then they're like, hold on, we're not done. Not only are we going to have them, how about a Daredevil? How about a Daredevil, Lottie? Oh,
Yeah.
is that? Oh, how about Cloak and Dagger? How about that? Oh, how about the Red Guard? You know, they had Omega Red and the Red Guard. Oh, how about Alpha Flight? Or, and I know you loved it, you were talking about this recently about the animated Spider-Man and Mary Jane. And I even think that may have been Eddie Brock behind them with the gem bag. And
this is clearly after. Clearly, if you guys don't understand, this is clearly after the end of Spider-Man animated series, because the real Mary Jane went missing, and the ending of the 90s Spider-Man ended where Madam Web, don't get mad at that name, Madam Web was taking him to go find Mary Jane. So clearly this is after that.
which is like pretty, it's dope. And I thought about you when I saw them. But my favorite cameo, and it's more than just one. It wasn't just a throwaway or whatever. My favorite cameo was the Black Panther. Yeah. And you know, here's the other thing. Bastion was like, you know what? I guess I just gotta annihilate all of humanity. And he sends the Prime Sentinels around the world. These motherfuckers got the nerve to roll up on Wakanda like they can see Wakanda like that for real. And I was like, well, whatever Prime Sentinels y'all sent there, you can forget them because they are done. They ain't doing shit. And even this isn't T'Challa though. You know, did you notice that? It's not T'Challa.
Yeah.
It's T'Chaka. So his dad is the one. Which, if you think about it, makes sense. If this is the 90s X-Men, King T'Chaka was the Black Panther in the 90s. Because remember in Black Panther 1,
yeah,
he went to Oakland around in the early 90s to deal with his brother. So this is MCU compatible. I'm just saying, think about it. Just saying, think about it. But the cameos were like just on point. So on point, in fact, Lottie, like, I'm not going to exaggerate too much here. I feel like they are making the case for an animated MCU. Is that a fair statement?
I mean, it is definitely a fair statement. I mean, the thing about it is, to be absolutely honest, they'll be dumb not to do it. This is not the first. Like, if anybody says, "Oh, if they make another Avengers, it will be the third one they've made in the last 15 years." You know, they've done Avenger TV shows. They've done MCU Avenger shows where I can't remember which one it was, that it was connected to
Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
I don't think it was Earth Mightiest Heroes. It was the other one. No. It wasn't the Earth's Mightiest Hero. It was the other one. The other one was connected to Ultimate Spider-Man, and it was connected to quite a few shows where they were like all having crossovers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's something that's been done before. So it's not one of those things that you go like, oh, I can't see that happening. They've done it before.
Yeah, you know? I think a lot of people, especially us older heads, saw all of that and were like, come on, please give that to us. Give it anything. Seeing Daredevil like doing his thing was just so fucking cool. And there's so many possibilities here. So just really, really great cameos. And also, I will say, a bit of redemption for Captain America. You notice when they were in the Situation Room and he's with the president, he was against the Magneto protocols. Very much so.
By the way, that's a dumbass motherfucker. All those people in that room should be fired immediately. They should be fired and never allowed to have a job. Those are stupid. Let's shoot an asteroid that's orbiting the planet, and let's just hope one of the meteors doesn't cause it to dislodge from orbit and come plummeting to the... Like, you got to be some of the dumbest motherfuckers I've ever seen. Like, I'm like, at the end of the episode, when they're like, I'm like, nigga, he should be put in fucking jail. What are they talking about? He's losing the election. His ass should be in fucking jail. Like, what? You are stupid, bro.
I do
You're
want to.
fucking
Yeah,
stupid.
I agree with you. Physically speaking, I understand the idea. The idea was if it's in a stable orbit to push it out into an eccentric orbit that sends it away from the planet. If it's in a stable orbit, you use nukes and low, below it, the shockwave pushes it out of orbit. Bam, it's gone, right? But they didn't do that. They hit the thing. So that's a dumb thing because if it explodes into multiple pieces, there's a runaway process that could turn, low Earth orbit and, orbit into like basically a debris field that you can't navigate. And Tony Stark's in the room is not like, don't do that. So like, Tony, what you doing, dog?
Everybody in that room except T'Chaka and Captain America should all be. They should not be allowed to have any positions of power ever again in their lives.
Well, it looks like that's going to happen. So that whole cabinet's about to lose. And also, it looks like Cap may be doing like in the 90s. He became Nomad, where he was not Captain America anymore. We'll see.
Yeah.
Let's actually touch on what was really going on. Let me just say, fight against Bastion on Asteroid M was like, that's some top level like anime shit. They were going every one of them were going so hard. They even made Jubilee pop off. Did you see that? Remember people like Jubilee's so useless. Yeah. She popped off so hard. And I was like, I was 100% there for it. But everybody really got their licks in. Everybody really went hard. Rogue was smashing. She was just killing. Anybody else, if it wasn't Bastion, they're dead. Their heads are flying across the solar system. How hard she was going at that dude. Scott was going off. Like, Nightcrawler was getting it in. Everybody was just getting it in on this dude. And he was taking the licks, though, to be fair. So, I mean, Ladi, like, I'm saying, am I wrong? To me, that rivals some of the great anime fights.
Yeah. Like, that was, like you said, great fight scene. Man, Bastion over here was just getting the two-piece from everybody. Everybody had smoke with this dude. This is, I can't remember what show to compare it to. When, like, this is like, Full Metal Alchemist, when Father like ascended and they were able to cut him away from his godly power. Every alchemist has smoke for him because he hurt every single. Oh man, even the ones that hated each other were like, yeah, we're all giving this man the two-piece. Like everywhere he go, the man was like, oh, is that it? Bam, bam, God dang, man. But he was like, God, everyone's whooping my ass. Damn.
I mean, that Asteroid M1, that was pretty epic. Also, he was, they were fighting on the ground. I love the stuff that was going on the ground before he went up to Asteroid M, before he got his big old upgrade. And the whole thing with Sinister getting like, well, I will get to that before, but where he takes Cable's arm and beats him with it. I was like, you know what? How you so disrespectful, man. You ain't gotta slap the shit out of him with his own hand. And then he becomes, empowered by the organic virus. And then Jean is like, nah, you ain't gonna be killing none of my peoples, And she comes with the Phoenix power, whoops that ass, and more importantly, makes Sinister into Dorian Gray. It's like Dorian Gray saw his fucking portrait and turned it to that old ugly whatever the fuck he was. I mean, but Ladi, why she faint though? It's like, God dang it, Jean, you were doing good, and then she was just like, ugh.
Bruh, I've been saying this entire time. When everyone's like, Bastion, I'm telling you, man, Bastion's the big bad. He's that. I said, man, Bastion is only getting off because the X-Men are nice. Literally, any of the X-Men can one-shot that dude. They're just being nice to him. And finally, one of them said, you know what? That's it. Jean finally said, I'm done.
He's like,
I'm
put
done.
that goddamn collar on. But
Yeah, exactly. I've been telling people this, and I wanted to go on threads to say I've been trying to tell y'all, man. At any moment, these people could just go like, "Yeah, you ain't shit."
well,
Like
what you noticed? Bastion never squared up with Magneto. Never,
exactly.
not once did he ever square up with him. And I think for plot reasons they kept them apart because I mean it would have been done real fast. I really and I hate that for Magneto. He didn't get his run back against Bastion. But I really like that whole bit because you notice Cable's been like, you're not my mom, but then what did he say? You forgot about my mom. So he acknowledges and claims Jean as his mom now. I think that's pretty huge, really. Especially when you see later where, they're on Asteroid M, they've got to bring it down. They've got to figure out how to bring it down without destroying the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And the X-Men all decide we're just going to sacrifice ourselves to save the planet. And then they psychically have that kind of little sit down and heart to heart with Cable. And I thought that was beautiful. Like, I think that I didn't cry in this episode, but that was the episode that got me really close. Like the way they sort of sorted out their feelings about each other and Cable's complicated feelings about his parents and Scott saying he's sorry and he wanted to be a better dad and he wanted to say goodbye and I was like, man, y'all are really trying to get me here. I don't know how did you feel about that scene?
Man, I just love how everything just came back down to like, trauma, because yeah, because at the end of the day, Magneto, which his name was Eric, and I just love how at the end he was telling them that, hey, what is your name? I'm Magneto, motherfucker. I wish I was still holding on to little hope because when you text me spoiler, I said nope, not looking at it. I was hoping to.
I was
He was
trying to
gonna say.
I was trying to let you down softly so you
I
wouldn't
didn't
come in
want
with
you to.
expectations.
I was hoping when that man said, "What is your name?" I was hoping. I was like, he's gonna say, "I am the onslaught Magneto." Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Damn it!
They did.
Damn it.
They pulled the okey doke, man.
It's still a possibility.
I
Still a
mean, I think
possibility
it's
that he can show
it
up.
is a possibility. Definitely. I think it's important. I said there was messaging in here. The family aspect is very important. Like it's super important to the entire show. It's the DNA of the show. Found family, chosen family, so forth. But in the case of Cable, it really is about coming to terms with the parents he thought he knew versus the one he actually knew, and he had built up this idea in his mind about who they were, and when they didn't necessarily when he first meets them, they don't necessarily match up. It made him angry, but having fought alongside them, against Bastion, has really kind of brought him around to no, these are my parents. These are either the people. They aren't just names. They aren't just legends. They're actual people. They did love me, and I've been kind of blinded by a lot of complicated feelings up to this point. I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah.
So speaking of all of that stuff, we gotta touch on one of the major struggles that was going on in the show, which was Magneto's fractured psyche and Professor X attempting to sort of bring him back together in one piece because they need him because obviously they can't save the day without Magneto, and I think that was important, but also that's his friend, and dare I say more than friend. Like, did you look? I'm gonna keep it real. They've been dancing around the idea, the fact, whatever, what have you, that Magneto and Professor X are possibly more than just friends, but possibly maybe unrequited lovers or whatever. I think if you watch this episode, think about that and see everything they go through in his mindscape. And in particular, pay attention to that bar scene, which is a memory. When they were talking, they were working, I think it's in Vietnam. And they're in a bar dancing around the fact that each of them are mutants. And they're trying to figure out if it's okay to say to each other, I'm a mutant. And all you have to do, look at that scene, look at everything that's going on, and instead of mutant, say gay. Right? It's the 60s or whatever, and they're trying to decide, can I trust this guy who I like to be okay with me saying, actually, I'm gay, right? And then Professor X then has the courage to say, yes, I am, or in this case, I'm a mutant. That is 100% like and as you know, it's queer. It's a queer coding situation, and you watch the rest of their, kind of interaction with each other in the memories, and it, a lot of it is Magnus not really knowing who he is. He's kind of coming to a grips with why he thinks the way he is, his trauma, his anger at the world, his anger about not remembering his parents that were, his family that was killed in the Holocaust, and his sense of betrayal from Charles Xavier, who he thought they were going to build a better world together. And at every turn, it seems to him that Charles is standing in the way of what he thinks should be done. And he takes it as, you're not a friend, you're not a family, you're not, someone who loves me. You're someone who's trying to, stand in my way at every turn. How can you say that we're family if you're like that? And I thought it was all great. Like, I know I'm talking about a lot. I'm sorry. I just wanted to get your thoughts on all of that. It was a big part of the episode for them to sort of figure out not just Magneto's motivations and his, his will to sort of come back together, but also their complicated relationship.
I honestly, when I was watching it, that never came to my mind. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't get. But when you mention it, it definitely has that, like, oh yeah, you're right. It kind of does have that moment of, like you said, if it was the '60s or like the '50s, that we're talking, but yeah, I'm gay, and he goes like, yeah, I can see it. I can actually see what you're talking about, and see how it could be like something that definitely has a connection to it. And I really that scene, I really did like that part of, like, how it showed them when even younger, when they first met back then, because you know at the time mutants existed, but no one really knew anything too much about them. They kept in secret, and just to see that, like, Magneto, to see a Magneto that to see a Magneto that was not confident in his mutant blood and his mutant side, that was very, 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 very kind of like, how can I say, jaw dropping.
Yeah. You notice when he was looking at, like, there was a boat and it had the people that he cared about, like that was kind of subconsciously were in his mind, his family, I guess you could say. We saw Rogue, yes, but we saw 3 people in shadow. And did you notice who they were?
No.
They were Polaris, Pietro, and Wanda. So his 3 children. He's 3 children that that we know of. Polaris, who inherited his magnetic powers, and of course Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch. So that's more connection to the wider MCU, and of course other mutant things. Going beyond beyond that, they figure everything out. Magneto sort of comes out, he saves the planet, and then they disappear. Right? They disappear into, we're like, where'd they go? Now, I will also, before we get to that part, I was so happy that Sunspot and Jubilee kind of, made up, everything's fine with them. They made it back to the ground. they're back together. I think they're such a cute couple, and I'm glad, and I hope they figure their shit out. Because apparently they're AWOL now, so is Cable. And they disappear. And so Forge, it's 6 months later. Forge presumes everyone's dead. That was on the asteroid, and he's got a board up. He's trying to figure out who's going to be the new X-Men, which is a straight up a nod towards some particular, comic book storylines. But Uncanny X-Men, it could be Generation X. But we see, I don't know if you noticed too. I stopped it and looked at it. We see Emma Frost, Kitty Pryde, Colossus, a mutant called Exodus, which I'm not completely familiar with, but apparently he's quite powerful. Dust. I feel like I'm missing somebody, but an Iceman. So Forge is looking to reconstitute the X-Men because he can't find, everybody else. And of course, that whole catastrophe has pretty much made the right wing, I guess you could say, Graydon Creed. If you remember last time we saw Graydon Creed, he was in the original series, finding out that in fact his father was Sabretooth. And he's like, I'm not a mutant. But he's running for president, and he's ahead of President Kelly in the polls. So you might get your wish. He's not going to be president. Someone worse is going to be president. And we also see that what happened to the people on Asteroid M? Well, 2 of them got whisked away to the far future, and they meet as Jean and Scott, and they meet their son Nathan, who is now a little boy. And that is going to lead into a story called Astonishing Son, where they do raise Cable in the far future. And in the far past, 3,000 years BC, in fact, we find that the rest of the X-Men, or at least we presume the rest of the X-Men, are in in ancient Egypt, and they meet in Sabanur, aka Apocalypse, the young Apocalypse. And then in the present day Apocalypse goes to Genosha, and he picks up some dust, and there's a card in the dust. So what part of that didn't you like?
It's not that I didn't really like it. It's just, okay, maybe, a lot of, some people probably, with you didn't really watch too many of the 90s, cartoons. But like, I felt like, how this is X-Men 97, and I know it's based in the 90s. As someone who grew up watching a lot of 90s action cartoons, this is the trope that they use so many times, and it's just like, I understand it's the show's called X-Men 97, but you don't have to make it too 90s, where a character gets transported to another time or dimension. It happens. It literally happened in every single 90s cartoon. It kind of got exhausting to see Superman, Batman, X-Men, Spider-Man, Thundercat, like if any 90s cartoon you can name that was an action cartoon, every single one of them went into the future, past, or a different dimension, and it's kind of exhausting. I kind of would have liked it better that if the Ashari, what are the people that Charles is with, abducted them?
The Shi'ar,
the Shi'ar. It's too 90s. You know what I mean?
Well, unfortunately, that is literally what happens in the comics, and this is this is extremely comic book. Like, they're not 100% faithful, but all of this is pulling from the comics, like straight up. And that X-Men 97, they speed run comic storylines, so they've laid the groundwork for at least 3 storylines that are in the comics, at least 3. And we haven't even gotten to the fact that Wolverine is still, he's out of action. We didn't get to to the fact that there's like stuff like Bo DeMeo. He confirmed that Morph confessed his love for Wolverine. That he's like, no, that's actually him confessing to Wolverine. So that's going on. Like there's so much stuff going on. There's so many plot threads. It's a soap opera. I don't have too much else to say. I think those endings are pretty dope. I was popping off during the whole episode, like for real though. I'm glad maybe my neighbors weren't necessarily nearby, so they couldn't hear me flip out. But like, I was really going off all episode, especially at the end when I saw where they were laying things out to go. Ladi, were you popping off?
Oh yeah. Well, I was on my exercise bike, so I couldn't exactly pop off because if I did, I'd probably lose oxygen. But I was like thoroughly entertained watching.
Yeah, this is excellent. What a great season. We're not going to recap the season. It took a long time to recap this episode. Just a great, awesome season of TV, not cartoon. Awesome season of TV. Period. And I've 100% enjoy that. You ever hear people be like, "Who asked for this?" You know what? I didn't ask for this, and I'm glad no one gives a fuck about whether or not I asked for something. They just give me good stuff. Like, who cares? Somebody had a great idea. They made this thing happen, and I'm so damn happy it exists. I cannot say enough how much of a Marvel fan I am and how much this kind of like reinforces all of that stuff. And it just, honestly, it makes me excited for more superhero animation, period. You know, we're getting great things. And I'm just so glad that people who have the passion for these things are getting to make these things, damn it. Ladi, we're eating too good. We're eating like kings. I mean, dude, we are eating like kings. I couldn't be happier. Yeah. So, that being said, Ladi, I think that's all of our thoughts on this episode, right?
Yeah.
So, what did you guys think about this episode? What did you think about the season? How are you guys feeling about X-Men 97 all the way around? Are you excited for more? Because we are getting another season. Whatever your thoughts may be, get down to the comment section, leave your thoughts there. And of course, you can always hit us up, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com, blerd_force1 on Instagram and on Threads, and it's super_not_funny show on TikTok. While you're down there, do us a favor, hit like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. All that good stuff helps to grow this channel, helps more people to see videos just like this. All right, thanks for joining us on this extra long review of X-Men 97. We got plenty more reviews coming. In particular, look out for My Adventures with Superman, which is coming up in the next couple weeks. We're going to be all over that. Until then, I've been Mo, your comment extraordinaire on all things pop culture, joined by the anime expert, video game designer, and lover of all things superhero, my good friend Ladi. And we'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you.